Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So, from Zendikar Rising, there are plenty of expensive and powerful rares and mythics that many Commander players are excited about. But I'm here today to tell you about an inexpensive common that many players might be sleeping on. And the common that I'm talking about is Cleansing Wildfire. Cleansing Wildfire is a sorcery for 1 in a red, and it says, destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle their library, draw a card. Now, hear me out, because I know that the immediate reaction for some when they see the words destroy and land on the same card might be a negative one. For many groups, land destruction is frowned upon in Commander, but this is more like land replacement. And land replacement is a lot more friendly than land destruction. There are a ton of incredibly powerful lands in Commander that need to be stopped. This takes that overpowered land and turns it into one of the most fair things in Magic, a basic land. So when we're playing this card, we're just evening the playing field. Not only does this replace that land, it also replaces itself. I think without drawing you a card, it makes it really hard to justify putting it into a deck. Except in very specific circumstances where you're playing against that friend who just keeps playing Gaia's Cradle and searches up Gaia's Cradle and then plays Gaia's Cradle every single game. But because this card replaces itself and it's an extremely flexible card, I think this can see a good amount of play. Let's talk about though what makes this card flexible. First off, like I mentioned before, you can replace those overpowered lands that your opponents have. And if they aren't running any basics in their deck, well then that's their own problem. Run more basics. So this card can teach them a valuable lesson. Secondly, this doesn't have to be an opponent's land. You can destroy your own if you want to and replace it. The first reason to do that is for mana fixing. If you've got 2 mountains in play but you need a forest, destroy one of your mountains, get a forest, and draw a card. And if you've got a landfall deck, it can help you with that as well. So in Omnath, 2 mana to draw a card and get a 5/5 is pretty good. And you can even use this as a political tool as well. If one of your opponents is slightly behind and is missing one of their mana types, help them out. Not just out of the kindness of your heart, though, of course you're going to make a deal with this and make them do something for you. Commander is, of course, a political game, and gaining political favor is always a good thing. So this card can help you out in a lot of situations, and it's not just dependent on your opponent having an overpowered land. But again, there are plenty of those in Commander, so let's take a look at some potential targets for this card. First up, there's Ancient Tomb, which taps for a colorless, and it deals 2 damage to you. 2 damage is a very small amount in Commander, where you start the game off with 40 life. So having this land that can just tap for more than 1 right away is huge. And being able to cast Cleansing Wildfire and replace Ancient Tomb with something more fair is a lot of fun. But of course, there are some lands that tap for well more than 2 mana with Gaia's Cradle, Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, and Cabal Coffers. First up, Gaia's Cradle is an extremely expensive card. It's a legendary land that taps to add green for each creature you control. Green decks are of course very good at getting creatures out, so this can easily tap for upwards of 10 mana. So 2 mana to replace your opponent's land that taps for 10 with one that just taps for 1, and drawing a card is a great deal. And then Nykthos Shrine to Nyx is another one that can tap for an absurd amount of mana. It's a legendary land that taps for a color, so you can pay 2 and tap it to choose a color, and then you add to your mana pool an amount of mana equal to your devotion to that color. And devotion to a color is basically the number of mana symbols of that color and the mana cost of permanents you control. So this land can be extremely powerful in monocolor decks, and getting rid of it is a good idea. And then of course there's Cabal Coffers, which is a staple in mono black decks. By paying 2 and tapping it, you add black to your mana pool for each swamp that you control. And Cabal Coffers just happens to pair very well with Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. It's a legendary land that says each land is a swamp in addition to its other land types. So with Cabal Coffers, this basically makes it so that all of your lands are swamps, including Cabal Coffers and Urborg. So your non-basics are basically counting as well. And then Urborg can also really come in handy to help fix mana for spells that have a lot of black in their mana cost. So this can be a good target for Cleansing Wildfire as well. Some other great targets come with Academy Ruins and Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Academy Ruins is a legendary land that taps for colors, so you can pay 1 and a blue and tap to put target artifact card from your graveyard on top of your library. So this works extremely well in artifact-centric decks and even combos with Mindslaver. And then Hall of Heliod's Generosity is basically the same thing but for enchantments. So by paying 1 and a white and tapping it, you put target enchantment card from your graveyard on top of your library. There are plenty of powerful enchantments out there, so stopping your opponent from getting those back over and over again can be crucial. Next up, hideaway lands like Mosfet Bridge can be a target as well. Mosfet Bridge has this land enters battlefield tapped. When it does, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. And then by paying a green and tapping it, you can play the Exile card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater. Some of the hideaway lands have a pretty easy restriction to meet like this one, and casting a huge spell for just 1 mana is a big swing. So by using Cleansing Wildfire to just give them a basic instead of this, you get rid of this land as well as that exiled card. Because without the hideaway land in play, they no longer have access to that card they exiled, and that very well might be one of the best cards in their deck. Next up, let's move on to one of everyone's favorite standard cards with Field of the Dead. It has whenever it or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So with the right deck, this can get out of control very quickly and can easily be a win con, making you an absurd amount of zombies. Again, with Cleansing Wildfire, we replace this with a much less intimidating basic land. But speaking of intimidating though, there's Westvale Abbey. By paying 5 and tapping it, you pay 1 life and put a 1/1 white and black human cleric token onto the battlefield. And then by paying 5 to tap and sacrifice 5 creatures, you can transform it and then untap it. And it transforms into the very lovely Ormondal Profane Prince, which is a 9/7 with flying, lifelink, indestructible, and haste. So yeah, that's a pretty big threat. And being able to take that out as a land ahead of time is a pretty good idea. Next up, let's talk about Rogue's Passage, which is a favorite of Voltron decks, or decks that want to attack with their commander and need to protect them in combat. By paying 4 and tapping it, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So getting rid of this ahead of time can definitely save you if your opponent's planning to swing at you with their giant commander. Plenty of Voltron decks can get their commander to be a one-shot kill, and you're going to want a way to block that. And conversely, if you are the one with that Voltron deck, you're going to want to get rid of your opponent's Maze of Ith. It has tap, untap target attacking creature, prevent all combat damage to be dealt to and by that creature this turn. So yeah, this can definitely stop your Voltron commander in its tracks, and getting rid of it can be key. Again, I encourage you not to sleep on Cleansing Wildfire. I think it's a fantastic card. It's an extremely flexible card that replaces a land as well as itself. And I hope to see more of these effective land replacement cards in the future. And with that, this show has come to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this card are. Are people going to be sleeping on it, or am I completely off base? So yeah, let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks again, and have a good one.